Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Bible Study Minute. Today we're taking a look at 1 Kings chapter 2. And in this chapter, we reach the end of King David's life and we begin to see the reign of his son Solomon. But at this point in the reading plan, we have skipped over a lot of details, especially the latter years of David's life. And what we see is happening after his sin with Bathsheba. One of the things that the prophet Nathan told him was that there was going to be a lot of division in David's household. And one of the things that happened was his son Absalom tried to take over as king, which caused David to flee, and then a whole bunch of other things happened. And then even the commander of his army became a murderer, killing and shedding innocent blood, and just so many different things happened. But eventually David regained control of the kingship and the throne, and so many other things happened. But then we also see in 1 Kings chapter 1 that one of his sons, thought that he should be king because he was older than Solomon, and just so many other things happening here. So when we get to chapter 2, what we see is David giving his son Solomon some advice. First and foremost, keep God's commands and walk in them, because that is going to ensure your blessing and reign as king over Israel. But then he has him tie up a lot of loose ends. Some of these are to tie up loose ends from David's own life, but they also have political ramifications as well, because they will help secure peace in the kingdom. So what we end up seeing is, because of things that happen, he ties up all these loose ends, and by the end of chapter 2, his kingship is secure. So what's the takeaway for us from this? Ultimately, that we see God is still working in all of this and keeping his promises to David. But for us, it's taking a look at 1 Kings chapter 2, verses 2 and 3, in the words that David spoke to his son about the importance of keeping God's commands. Even though these words were written and spoken specifically to Solomon, they still apply to us as well. In that, as we've seen in Psalm chapter 1 and Psalm 119, we see the importance of keeping and walking in God's commands, because that is what brings us happiness as a believer, and that is what deepens and grows our relationship with the Lord. So that is why we need to be people who walk in obedience to God's commands. So that's what I want to encourage you to do as you look at Solomon. And we'll take a look at Solomon's life and see how well he did that, or how poorly he did that over the course of his life. But for you, that's what I want you to be able to do as you live your life. So that's all I have for now. Until next time, grace and peace.